Today on the Morning Edition, high waves and strong winds batter the west coastline of Alaska, leading to flooding in multiple communities and evacuation orders being issued. We'll have the very latest. Plus, Anchorage Mayor Suzanne LaFrance says the city is better prepared this year for snow handling and removal. Details on the new plan and new equipment to handle this coming winter. And later, if the house you're looking at makes you think you need to call the fire department on their behalf, you're not alone, but it's actually just a Halloween display. We'll bring you those details as the Morning Edition starts right now.
Well, a dangerous storm is battering western Alaska. Powerful winds and surging waves are slamming into the coast, putting homes and lives at risk. This is video from Willie Hogendorn in Nome, capturing the force of the storm as winds howl and waves crash against the shore.
Obviously, a lot going on in western Alaska, some threatening weather there, Aaron. Let's get right to the latest.
Yeah, we're still holding on to those coastal flood warnings, which continue through the remainder of today and into our Friday for areas of northwestern portions of the state. Now, that system continues to exit off towards the northeast as it moves out of the Chukchi Sea. But with that being said, we're still seeing some impacts this morning in the form of some strong winds. It's just still leading to the potential for some flooding concerns. At last check, out towards the Kivalina tide gauge, we are seeing minor flooding, while Kotzebue is still dealing with a major flooding event with those waves that have been pushing on shore. That's also backing up the sound out towards Kotzebue. Notice these winds on the backside of this low pressure system continuing to pump in from the west, southwest at times. These windy winds are continuing to push in more of those waves to shore as well as into Kotzebue Sound, which is leading to that flooding that we are dealing with this morning. Now, the good news is as the day continues to progress, we are going to see these impacts greatly continuing to deplete across western parts of the state. And this will lead to a brief lull in the activity before another storm system arrives as we welcome in the weekend. But notice all up and down areas of northwest Alaska out towards parts of the Seward Peninsula, Norton Sound. We continue to see coastal flood advisories as well as some coastal flood warnings. Water levels could be upwards of about 10 feet above the normal highest tide. And of course, we are going to see some of the greatest flooding potential out towards northwestern parts of the state, which is where we've already been seeing the flooding videos coming in from Kotzebue. Now, this is a video or a photo coming in from Cynthia Carmen. You can see those rough seas that we've got out towards the Bering Sea. But notice the road wall, out towards areas of western Alaska where we're seeing these waves pushing into the shore. This is causing that erosion. It's causing those waters or the roads to break away as well as the soil to break off as well. So this is leading to that coastal erosion as well as that flooding. Ongoing winds are still with us. Utqiagvik, you're seeing those winds up to 50 miles per hour. I'll have more on what to expect as the week draws to a close in that 7-day forecast coming up.
Continuing today's top story, that powerful Bering Sea storm is delivering high winds to western Alaska. Wind gusts between 50 and 80 miles per hour were recorded from the Aleutians to western Alaska on Tuesday and Wednesday. These strong winds are causing a storm surge of 4 to 10 feet for many communities. Flooding is ongoing and will likely continue into Thursday. Adelmi Ruiz joins us now from the newsroom with the latest on what residents along the coast of Alaska are experiencing. Adelmi.
Kristen, images and videos flooding in from western Alaska Wednesday night showing entire towns submerged in the rising tides. Kotzebue was among the first to evacuate as the storm battered the coast, but officials say all the communities in the northwest Arctic borough are at risk. Roughly 280 of Kivalina's residents evacuated to the new school, likely to spend the night.
The wind is not consistent. It's changing, it's shifting, it's picking up speed, it's that kind of thing. Is same with the surf. When you stand there and watch it, there will be swells coming in with all of the wave action. And then when we hit about 12 noon today, between 12 noon and 1, that's when things started really, really getting serious. And people were scared. So your first priority is always the safety of the people.
As of 10:45 p.m., the tidal gauge at Kotzebue Sound in Kotzebue reached 6.32 feet. Water levels dropped slightly to 6.32 feet at 8 p.m. and remained at that level at 9 p.m., which is still in major flood stage. The highest level was at 7 p.m. at 6.71 feet. That is in an increase of more than 6 feet since Tuesday afternoon. The water is expected to stay high throughout the night. Many streets in Kotzebue are flooded as water from the storm surge inundates the community. As staying informed right now is critical, our weather app has 24/7 updated coverage at your fingertips from the Alaska's Weather Source team. Just search for it in the App Store. You can also sign up for alerts at alaskasnewssource.com that will give you up-to-the-minute updates on Alaska's news and weather. Kristen?
All right, thanks, Adelmi. Aside from the storms on the West Coast, winter is coming, and this year Anchorage says it's ready. Mayor Suzanne LaFrance unveiled new snow equipment and a massive snow dump site Wednesday, one capable of holding 1 million cubic feet of snow. Along with new plows, blowers, and graders, you'll be able to track the city's snow plows in real time.
This modernization is a major undertaking, and it will take time. It'll take several years before we have all the new equipment we need. However, I am proud to announce that the first new pieces of equipment have already arrived and will be in use this season, and more is on the way.
Looking ahead, funding for the city's snow removal fleet will come from a new tax levy approved by voters in April. Municipal leaders say the levy is expected to bring in about $3.5 million annually. The Anchorage Assembly is weighing new rules that could change how short-term rentals like Airbnb operate in the city. Assemblymember Daniel Volland introduced an ordinance that would require property owners to register their rentals with the city. He's also backing a separate proposal asking voters to approve a 5% tax on short-term rentals, money that would go toward creating more affordable housing.
Those revenues would then be dedicated to a municipal housing fund, which we could do all kinds of creative things to help with housing development here in Anchorage, particularly workforce housing development.
I just don't find making the guest pay more is going to help us with tourism, right? On top of the fact that, with this additional bed tax, I understand the part of it, which is to try to go to affordable housing. There's just not really a plan set up on what that looks like, and there's not really any data that's collected to say, hey, this is going to benefit.
The Assembly plans to vote on whether to put the tax question on the ballot on October 21st. The same day, they'll take public testimony on whether Airbnbs should be registered with the city. Turning now to election coverage, official results from more than 20 communities in the state, including mayoral elections, are still to come. Political reporter Will Courtney has his fingers on the pulse, the latest developments.
What we have now, the unofficial election results, still pending certification, and many communities as well still waiting to see those absentee ballots, those ballots that are under scrutiny, what the results of those are going to be. That makes it, for a lot of these races, still too early to see where they're actually going to lie. But let's look with that important context at some of our elections right now. This is the city of Kenai Mayor, former Vice Mayor Henry Nackstedt, currently in the lead with 58%. Trailing by current city councilor Alexander Dothett at 41%. Going up to Fairbanks, one of the more interesting races we've been following, Mindy O'Neill currently in the lead with 54%. Important context, though, David Cruz has also conceded his seat as well. So these are some of the races we're watching all at the same time, monitoring some ballot initiatives over taxes and election operations. We have the full list of all the ballot initiatives and candidates on our website as well. Will Courtney, Alaska's news source.
And as Will stated, in Fairbanks, the race for mayor appears decided. Incumbent David Cruz has conceded to challenger Mindy O'Neill, but up to 1,450 ballots, absentee and question ballots, remain to be counted. O'Neill leads by 280 votes. The city clerk says the concession won't affect the final tally if the numbers shift after certification. Alaska's news source caught up with both candidates on election night.
I am so pleased that the message that we ran with resonated with the residents of Fairbanks, and that there was a vision painted collectively that Fairbanks can be a vibrant place to be.
This has been a humbling, most rewarding experience, being mayor of the city of Fairbanks for 3 years. There's no better job in the elected world than being the mayor of the city of Fairbanks, and I wish Mindy the best.
After being reviewed by the borough's Canvass Board, all absentee and questionable ballots will be counted next Tuesday. Results are set to be certified October 23rd. Just ahead on the Morning Edition, our investigative team takes a deep dive into the impacts of the underage resentencing that can and has already resulted from a 2023 court ruling.
Ongoing stormy conditions out west. I'll have more on that and the next storm that arrives on our doorstep. But first at sunrise, coming in at 8:27 in Anchorage, 7:21 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Welcome back on this Thursday morning, Aaron. As we've been mentioning all morning, that threatening weather in western Alaska. What's the latest?
Oh, we're still seeing those gusty conditions. Now, the good news is those peak winds, those have subsided across western and northwest Alaska. With that said, coastal flooding will continue. Winds will still be quite gusty throughout the day, although max winds should be less than 50 miles per hour for the rest of your Thursday. Northwest Alaska will see the greatest flood potential as we've been dealing with out towards Kivalina as well as Kotzebue, and then we're watching more rain, winds, and rough seas that will move into the Bering Sea, the Aleutians, and western Alaska as we welcome in the weekend. So our winds, those will continue to kind of taper off as we welcome in the remainder of today on into the afternoon hours. So that is some good news when it comes to the winds, as that will allow that storm surge and all of that water that pushed inland to kind of recede, and we'll see a brief lull in the activity. And then as we welcome in the weekend, we're watching our next storm system that's building into the Aleutians and the Bering Sea. This is coming from the remnants of a typhoon. We are going to see another round of some winds and rain moving into western and southwest Alaska as we welcome in the weekend. Now, the strongest winds look to arrive overnight Saturday on into Sunday. Be prepared for the possibility that we could once again see winds in excess of about 40 to 50 miles per hour. Of course, those stronger winds look to be out over the open waters of the Bering Sea. So out towards St. Paul Island, we could see that potential for some of those stronger winds, as well as Gamble, St. Lawrence. So this activity kind of tapers off across western and northwest Alaska. And again, we will continue to see that coastal flooding, which will likely persist through the remainder of today. Those winds, though, will gradually taper off, and we'll see some snow spreading through the Brooks Range and possibly through the interior overnight on into our Friday. There's that next storm system, though, that will build northward into the Bering, and we're going to see the greatest impacts again arriving Saturday on into Sunday as we really begin to see this storm system building northward across the state. You can see out towards the Aleutians by early Saturday morning, we can see some widespread rainfall across the region. This all comes as that ridge of high pressure still remaining with us just a bit to our south. It has become somewhat flattened, so we're seeing our motion or the flow in our atmosphere pushing all of these storms into western Alaska. So we're going to continue to see this for the foreseeable future. That's why we've got another storm on our doorstep as we welcome in the weekend. So again, be prepared for another round of some possible rain as well as some high winds, as well as the potential that we could see some more rounds of some wintry mix in the forecast. In fact, the outlook ahead continues to favor well above average precipitation. In fact, later today on into the close of this week, we'll see some increasing snowfall potential for areas of the western Brooks Range as well as the central Brooks Range. If you're truckers or anyone driving along the Dalton Highway, be prepared for that possibility that we could see some areas of snow in the forecast. Now, here across South Central, while we will tap into some cooler weather as the week draws to a close, we're only expected to drop into the 40s. A high of 45 degrees Saturday. Rain does return this weekend on into next week. Sunday, maybe a bit on the wet side and possibly even some breezy conditions moving back into South Central to start off next week.
We were all stupid when we were 15 years old, all of us. But we didn't kill people.
Ralph Samuel's brother was murdered by a teenager in 1989. The former Alaska lawmaker and some victim families now worry a 2023 court ruling could reduce sentences for that killer and dozens of others who committed crimes as juveniles. Legal advocates counter that the ruling addresses a constitutional requirement. It's a requirement that courts must consider the fundamental differences between juvenile and adult offenders when determining sentences. Our investigative team took a look at both sides of the issue and the potential impact.
Time is a gift. Existing in this world is beautiful, full of color, unimaginable kindness, love, shared between two brothers, Ralph and Dwayne. But to experience this life,
He just lost everything for nothing.
the best comes with the worst.
I would say the defining moment in my life was October the 5th of 1989. All of our lives are completely different because of what happened on that day. Dwayne did nothing wrong. He was home at 10 o'clock in the morning and the doorbell rang.
It was Samuel's father and brother who found the body. Minutes later, police were on the scene to investigate.
16-year-old Jonathan Norton was at the door. He wanted Dwayne's sports car and confessed to police he shot Dwayne 3 times to get it. It's reported he shoved Dwayne's body in a closet and covered it with clothes. Dwayne's dad found him.
Dad was just imagine. As worse as you can imagine, that's what it was like. You know, all he could say was, "How am I going to tell your mom?" That's all he could say over and over again. He missed out on a whole life, on travel and love and loss and, you know, everything that makes up all of our lives, and he missed all of it.
Sentenced as an adult to 99 years, Norton also missed the best parts.
People are often not the worst mistake that they've ever made, and we want for our clients to get their day in court to be able to show the world who they've become in the decades since their incarceration.
In Alaska, almost 70 teenagers have been convicted of crimes and sentenced as adults according to the Department of Corrections. What's in question is how many of them could be resentenced after a 2023 Alaska Court of Appeals ruling found that juvenile sentences must consider age, vulnerability, and prospects for rehabilitation, and how juveniles are fundamentally different from adults.
We understand the seriousness of these cases, and we understand very much that these are hard things for our community to do. And, you know, we appreciate, I think, grace on all sides of the justice system when it happens.
The ACLU of Alaska represents Norton. It's unclear how many other cases could be resentenced.
And the U.S. Supreme Court has affirmed more than once now that, yeah, you have to consider juveniles differently when you're sentencing them because their brain is not fully developed. So we look at the importance of this as a justice issue. It's a constitutional issue. We want to make sure no one is being sentenced to a sentence that is cruel and unusual.
We were all stupid when we were 15 years old, all of us. But we didn't kill people. So at the time, I didn't really give a damn that he was 16. I watched what it did, you know, to my family.
No one gets their time here back. What is missed is gone. And what happens next approaches.
How do you think it will end?
I think they'll resentence.
Do you think he'll get out?
That I don't know. If he's a better guy, that's great. He can be a better guy in jail for all that long.
And if you have a tip for our investigative team, you can reach us at 2investigates@ktuu.com.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's News Source app.